All right, so greetings wherever you are, and please, before anything else, do me a favor and then subscribe to this YouTube channel and then share it. Also recommend it for others. By doing that, you are supporting me. My name is Big Bright, and I upload videos on academic issues from all angles that you can think about. All right, so today we are going to look at how to be able to talk, how to write academic thesis. The easiest way to streamline your thesis is very important, and that is so many people are finding it difficult to be able to do actually hold us tight. We are unable to. So I'm going to take us the simple steps as to how to streamline your thesis in such a way that if somebody follows it, the person is able to understand. Stick and stay. Watch this video to the last part because the last part is where the actual information is hiding. So let me try and see if I can add my share my screen, and then but I have a very bad internet today. Straight. And then now I have this workflow of writing academic thesis. Now, in writing academic thesis, the chunk of the problem usually is not about the results or about the latter part of it. It's the beginning. And in the beginning, we find it easy writing the introduction. But the where we actually get choked is when we get to problem statement. So that is why I am doing this simple thing. And apart from that, how do we align the thesis in such a way that anybody at all who picks it can read and get the import of the whole information? Now, this is the workflow that I have designed. I got this from personal experiences and then other research articles that I have also read. Maybe I should put it on the presentation mode, and then let's see how it looks like. Great. So this is how it looks like. So we have our introduction part in which we have to. This is academic work. So you would have done a lot of your own research, or you would have done a lot of your own reading, and then you know the kind of research work that you are coming to do. So after you have done a lot of readings into that particular area, then when you come, you are trying to tell us in our introduction what exactly is the topic you are talking about is all about. For instance, you are talking about, let's say, a bacteria, a specific bacteria. Let's say you are talking about Mycobacterium tuberculosis, or you are talking about antibiotic resistance, or you are talking about resource acquisition, or you are talking about access to markets in what is it. So that is the main topic. So the introduction, you are going to capture a summary of what that particular main topic is all about. And then you would write a bit, paragraph by paragraph, describing everything that we need to know. For instance, you want to look at a genomic analysis of Mycobacterium tuberculosis genome, or genomic analysis of Mycobacterium tuberculosis genome. So if you come there, you are going to tell us a bit about Mycobacterium tuberculosis. You want to tell us a bit about the bacteria, the genome. You want to tell us what the genome is all about. So you have to break that down, and that is going to form the core part of your introduction. Now, when we are done with introduction, then we move straight to problem statement. And this is where all the issues come in. The problem statement flows in a particular direction. In fact, it took me some time before I got this particular hint. After you have written your introduction, obviously there are some research questions or research objectives that you want to achieve. That is, at the end of the whole thesis, what kind of research questions are you going to answer? But I'm not going to jump the gun. So it's going to be this way. You are supposed to write your problem statement right after your introduction. And what will be your first problem statement? So you have your first problem statement written, you have the second one, you have the third, you have the fourth, and then you have fifth, and then you have sixth. That is if you have all those problems. And the problem statement is actually the kind of problem you have identified that you want to you want to answer. You get it? That is the exact problems that you have identified, or the exact issues that you have identified with the overall research topic that your research is going to address. So you break that problem bit by bit. Now, there is something I want us to consider here. One of the ways to be able to write problem statement easily is to look at your objective. Is for me, I normally get a raw paper and state my objectives over there and turn the objective into problem statement. How do I do that? Now, my objective one is going to address a particular problem, right? It's going to address a specific problem. That's my objective one. Now, that particular problem it is going to address is going to be my problem statement one. My objective two is answering a particular, is also contributing to answering a particular question. And in that case, my objective two is going to form my problem statement two. So I can do it paragraph by paragraph in terms of the problem statement. So I come and look at my specific objective three and turn it into what kind of problem is it, or what kind of problem is it going to answer. And so that will become my problem statement three. That will be my paragraph three in my problem statement. Then if I go to my objective four, specific objective four, that will be my problem statement four. So when I am reading my problem statement, when I am going to write my problem statement, obviously when somebody read the first problem statement and then the person read the specific objective one, he would see that the specific objective one is actually set out to answer that particular specific problem that you have identified in your problem statement one. And this is when you get this alignment right, the rest becomes easy. So this is what I'm saying. After you have written your introduction, you've done a lot of reading about the whole topic. Now come and then do this. Make sure you state all the objectives that you want. And then you would have had your main objective already, and then the specific objectives are now going to be answering, is going to come together to answer your main objective. And your main objective addresses the main topic. So that's how the flow looks like. So break down your specific objectives, turn them to problems, and those ones become the problem statement. For instance, you are looking at antibiotic resistance. And then one of the specific problems or the specific objective is that maybe you want to characterize the, you want to characterize the pathogen. So when I go to my problem statement, it means that there is a problem of characterization of the pathogen. And that is that's why I have an objective to answer that. So what do? I have to write a problem statement that has to do with lack of characterization of the pathogen. And then I'll back it with some kind of research finding. And that is what we do it. So when I go to my objective two, then let's say that I want to see whether if there is some kind of class, or some kind of, I want to classify, or I want to cluster all the pathogens which cause, or all the strains under Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So it means that I have identified a problem, or is going to answer a problem of lack of classification. So because of that, maybe we are treating them without knowing that some of them, they fall in a particular class or not. So my second problem statement would be something that has to do with my specific objective too. So I'll write my second problem statement that has to do with what? Classification or clustering of the strain. And this is how we break problem statement one after the other. I'm emphasizing this part because this is the part that in academic research we find it very tough. And I found it very tough myself to be able to get this method. But when I got this method, this around when I write, if I just write once, I see that what I don't suffer is accepted. So that's the strategy I've adopted. So if you have gotten this part, I am happy. Now let's now look at it in full. So you write your introduction first, you come and write your problem statement, and make sure that if your your problem statement proceed one paragraph to the other. But you see that I have decided to put the introduction on this side. It means that in all the sections of your research, there could be some kind of introduction. Whether you are writing a problem statement, you would put some, maybe the first paragraph would be the introduction to the problem statement itself. Then you now come to your problem statement one. You're not going to name them, or you're not going to number them, but your first paragraph will be your problem statement one. Your second paragraph, the third paragraph, the fourth paragraph, the fifth paragraph, all the way up to the number of paragraphs that you want that can outline all the problem statements. Now, problem statement one must align with research question one. Then research question one must also align with specific objective one. Specific objective one must be answered using method one. Method one results is interpreted, what is interpreted using result one. And then when you come to the discussion, you also discuss accordingly. And then your specific findings and conclusions must also proceed in that order. So I have my introduction to my entire thesis. Then I have my problem statement one. So when I go to reach the research questions, I can see that there's actually a research question that connotes or that has a link with the problem statement one. But when I go to my specific objective, that specific objective actually is the research objective one that I have turned to become my objective. Then when I go to my materials and method, my method one must answer my specific objective one. Method two must answer my specific objective two. Method three must answer specific objective three, in that order. But like I said, in all of them, there is the introductory parts which you have to bear in mind. So for instance, the methods, you have to have your data, you must have where your data is coming from, your sampling, you have to put all of that together. And then before you now come to the main work of how you have gotten, okay, now the data is ready, this is the sampling that I use, this is the data I have gotten finally, and this is the method I now use. So the data, the sampling, and whatsoever, those ones don't form part of the method first. That's why it is materials and method. Those first part where you have the data, you have your sampling size, or you have your sampling techniques and whatsoever, those ones form the materials. Now, when it gets to the method answers the objectives. Method one must answer objective one. Method two must answer objective two. There are instances it might not follow this same strict rule, because objective one or method one can answer both objective one or two, or you have to take method one and two before it can answer objective one, in that order. But there must be this alignment. Now, when you go to your results, method one answered objective one. Then the results one, you are discussing whatever finding that you got from your method one. So you are not writing the results of method one, which answered objective one, which was a turn of a specific or research question one, that was coming from problem one. Then in that order. Now, when I go to my discussion, it's also going to follow this same pattern where I have to discuss them accordingly. You discuss just like the way the results are presented. I have results one, results two, results three, results four, results five, depending on, mostly we end at four, but some end at three. But I just decided to extend it to six so that maybe in the case of excesses. Then in the discussion too, you follow the same thing. Now, when you go to your findings and conclusions, you follow the same pattern. Your findings and conclusion one, or your findings one, your findings two, your findings three, and then your findings four, five, and then six. You also have your conclusion one. You can have your conclusion two in that order. But there are instances you realize that the whole thing, because when you are concluding, your first conclusion must let us know whether the objective one that you have set out was answered or not. That's why you have the conclusion. The conclusion will have to address that part of the objective. The conclusion two must also address the same thing, and then in that order. So this is the pattern at which you write academic thesis. And then when you are done, you have your recommendations, you have your limitations to your work and your references, and then you are gone. Let me say that Maybe in some instances, it might not be the same as what I have here, because in some academic institutions, they follow a pattern of hypothesis. But remember, hypothesis is a claim that you have to test whether it is true or false. Here, I'm not talking about a claim. I'm talking about maybe and most of us, those of us who have done MPhil, you are going to tackle an issue and research into that particular issue. And so it's not like a claim. You're just going to investigate or you're going to research into something. So you're not claiming anything. But those whose research work has to do with claim, there is a hypothesis. You have your null hypothesis, you have your alternative hypothesis. For instance, I can say that the what is it? The base salary of all nurses in Ghana here is more than 5,000 Ghana cedis. That's a claim. That's a guess. So what do? I need to just sample. I can sample about 1,000 nurses, and then take their salaries, and then I'll come and test it. And then that's a test of a hypothesis. You want to find out whether the thing is true or false. Then I gather all that, then I test it using the appropriate the hypothesis tools to test. And then if it is true, then the null hypothesis, we will fail to reject it, or we simply accept it, or in that order. So those ones are different from what I am talking about. But in that kind of research, after your problem statement, you would have come to your hypothesis, then you have your research questions, then you have your specific objectives. And then the hypothesis, there are always two. We have the null hypothesis, the alternative hypothesis. But I'm not talking about that part today. I'm talking about the part that we are used to in this academic institution. And that's how it follows. So I'll leave it here. The video is becoming too long. Thought it was going to be short. So let me run the summary. I'm saying introduction to you write your introduction about your topic. Very important. And then that is what is going to describe your topic in details. Not complete details. Your literature review will show that. And that's your chapter 2. Now, after you have done your introduction, then it is followed strictly by your problem statement. That's still chapter 1. Now, after that, it follows by research questions, followed by specific objectives, because there's already a main objective, but because I want this alignment, that is why I'm leaving that. So the main objective will form the introductory part of the specific objective. So that will be there will be a main objective and then specific objective. But main objective, we don't have 1, 2, 3. That's why I didn't put that one there. Materials and methods, they are there. The materials will form part of the introductory, where you are talking about your whatever materials you have gathered to be able to do the work, the tools you have gathered, the sampling you have done, the data you have obtained, the cleaning you have done. All of them will come under materials. Now, when we come to methods, the methods answer the objectives. That's all. Then we'll move to a resource. The results come according to the method. Method 1 produces result 1. Method 2 produces result 2. And in that order. We go to discussion. You discuss result 1. Come and discuss result 2, the result 3, then in that order. Findings and conclusion. You must have your finding 1 that must be answering objective 1, which you got it from method 1 in results 1, and then you discuss it what you are discussing 1. And then you have your conclusions, and then your overall conclusion. So this is how everything works out. Thank you, and I hope to see you some other time. If you find this very relevant, you can subscribe to the channel, and then we'll take it up from there. Thank you. Bye-bye. To those of you who are watching, thanks very much. Insightful and well-organized outline, writing thesis. Thank you. You always have an interesting summary and conclusion. Thanks. And thanks for sharing. Thank you very much. Okay, some important point. I will put the actual selector reference. I have a separate tutorial as to how to be able to write your discussion. Yeah, so I'll deal with that separately on a different day. How to be able to write your discussion systematically. I will have another structured way of writing your discussion. So thank you, and I'll see you. Bye bye.